Let us use the select statement on our table video. Select star from video. Here select is the keyword, from is the keyword, and video is the table name. What we are saying is, give me everything from this table and show it to me. So it is basically showing you or displaying all the data from the table video. So select star from video is a basic SQL statement. This is a SQL statement. Select video ID, video name from video. What we are doing here is we are specifying partial column names. I don't need everything. Select video ID, video name from video, where video ID greater than 1, where clause is a keyword. This where clause filters out the data from the table. Whenever you want to limit the data, you use the where clause. Select star from video. Again, let us see, we have 3 records. Select star from video, where state is equal to Arizona. What it will do? Bring only Arizona record. So where state is equal to Arizona or state is equal to New York, this will bring both the records because we have both of them, Arizona and New York. So or clause will bring both of them. Instead of or, you can say in. So state in Arizona, comma New York. This will fetch both the records, Arizona and New York. This will clear the screen. Again, let us see. Now this is a wild card. Now select star from video, where video ID greater than 1 and video ID less than or equal to 2. This will bring only the records within that range. So you can specify these operators, greater than, less than. Select star from video, where state is equal to Arizona and city like P and %. So I want the city which starts with a P as in Peter. So this will bring back Phoenix, Arizona record. So these are some of the simple SQLs that we can use in Hive or any database management system. Today we'll see DML statements, data manipulation language, insert, update, delete, and select statements. There are 2 forms of insert statements. One is insert into table name and values, or insert into table name, list of field names, and the list of values. Now using the second form of insert statements, you can insert partial field names, but in Hive you cannot do that. You have to give all the column names. In other database management systems, you can specify partial column names. Let us see how to use insert statement in Hive. Insert data. Let us insert data in this table video. Describe table name. Describe video will show you all the columns in the table name. Now as you already know, now we need to insert data into this table. There is no data yet. What we did is, using DDL, we defined the format of the table. let us add some data. How do you add the data? Now you have to look up the syntax of insert statement. Now there are two types of insert statements. Insert into table name. You see here, insert into table name, then values. You have to provide all the values. Or you can say insert into table name, then only specific column names. You can choose one column or multiple columns and then provide only those values. In case you want to just insert partial columns of data, in insert into, you have to insert the entire record. Now let us try one by one. So insert into table name, values. You see there are 6 columns or 6 fields in this table. Can give a name. Let us say Jurassic Park, author Rick, city New York, state New York, country USA. Let us add this record or the row in the table. In Hive, you know, it executes a map reduce job in the background. In other RDBMS like Oracle or Sybase or Informix or DB2, you don't have anything like a map reduce job. Because we are running this SQL or SQL on Hive, we call this as HiveQL language, which is basically a SQL on Hive. There are multiple ways to insert data in a table. I'm just showing you 2 ways of inserting data or adding data in a table using simple SQL statements. You can see map reduce job in the background. It says OK. It took around 150 seconds. Because of this map reduce job, it is taking so much time to add one record. Now we'll try the second way of inserting record. Again, let us do describe table name, insert. Now what is the syntax? Let's go back and look at the syntax. Look at the syntax. Insert into video column names. VID, VID name, author, values. We are going to add just 3 values now. Name, author, Hive does not allow partial data insertion. This is pretty much allowed in any other RDBMS like Oracle, Sybase, or any other databases. There are other ways of inserting data in SQL, but we'll see that in our other courses. For now, we know how to insert data in a table in Hive. Update table name, set, field name is equal to value, comma, field name is equal to value, etc. Where field name is equal to value. This where is very critical while using the update DML statement. Let us see how to use update statement in Hive. Describe video. This is the table that we created in our DDL session. This table has following field names or column names: video ID, VID, VID name, VID author, city, state, and country. Let us see how do we update the records in this table. Select video ID, city, state, country from video. This is a basic SQL statement. Select followed by column names from video. I hit enter. You will see I have 3 records. The second record, if you see, the city is Virginia and state is California. Now let us fix this and make sure we have the right city and state. Update table name, set city equals Falls Church, comma, state equal to Virginia, where VID equal to 2. What it does here is you are changing the values of city from VA Virginia to Falls Church and the value of state from California to Virginia for the video ID number 2. If you don't give this video ID is equal to 2, what will happen? All the records will have the city of Falls Church and state of Virginia. Because this is a transaction, you have all the MapReduce jobs being executed in the background. So most of the time it will execute reducer jobs. So make sure to specify the where clause in the DML SQL statement update. If you skip the where clause or filtering of the records which you want to update, all the records get updated. So you have to be very careful when you do updates. One more thing you can observe, select statements did not execute MapReduce jobs in the background. Only insert, update and delete statements are executing these map and reducer jobs. If you see, the city has changed to Falls Church, state to Virginia for the record number 2 or the video number 2. This is your update statement, which is one of the DML statements in Hive as well as in any other database management systems. Delete table name where field name is equal to value, or delete table name. Delete without any where clause will delete all the records. That's why you have to specify where clause or a filter of the records before you delete a table. Let us see how to use the delete statement in Hive. Let us see how do we delete the records. Now in this table video I have 3 records. Let us go ahead and delete the record number 3, which is having city of Boston. How do we delete? We use the delete statement. You see that the where clause, which basically allows you to filter out the records. I think there is some syntax error. Let me check it out. I think we should specify delete from table name where video ID is equal to number 3. Number 3 is my ID, which identifies uniquely that record so that I can only delete that record. That is called a filter on the set of records. So in delete statements, make sure you always provide a filter or a where clause in select statements. As this is a DML statement, again this will fire off MapReduce jobs in the background in Hive. This SQL statement will work in any other database management system like Oracle, Sybase, Informix or DB2. This map produced jobs will have latency, so we have to wait for it to complete. This is one of the drawbacks of using Hive. So whenever you have confusion, please check the syntax or the grammar for each of the DML or any SQL statements you would like to use. We'll make sure the record really got deleted. So the delete has completed. Let us check how many records are left in our table. So we have 2 records left. The third one got deleted. This is how we use delete DML statement in SQL, in Hive, or any other database management system. Select is another DML statement. Select field name 1, field name 2, field name 3 from table name. Here select and from is a must, and these two are the keywords. You can also specify select star. If you want all the field names from a table, you can specify select star from table name. These are very simple select statements. In our DML statements, we have seen these simple select statements or SQL statements. In this session, we have seen all the DML statements: insert, update, and delete, as well as some simple select SQL statements. In our next and last session in this course, we'll learn about different type of select statements, or how to use select statements to analyze data in a table in a database. In today's session, we'll learn about what is a database, a table, columns and fields, how do we create a table, how do we change the structure of a table using data definition language. What do we call it as DDL. A database is a collection of information. It has information which is useful for data analysis. It is also a logical container or bifurcation of data. You bifurcate based on the business or its usage. Then you create a database. A database is also called a schema. What does it have? A database has tables. It can have one or more tables, and these tables are related to each other. That's why it is called a relational database management system in case of a RDBMS. So if you can just remember, a database is a logical separation of data based on its usage or the business. If you want to work on any SQL tool, you need what is called as a client. Oracle has what is called as a SQL Plus client. Sybase and Microsoft SQL Server has their own clients to connect to their database management system. In Hive, we have 2 or 3 different ways of connecting to Hive, but one of them is a Hive command line interface. It's called CLI, Hive command line interface. Now, if I just type in Hive, I'm going to connect to Hive database. Now, a DBMS has a default database whenever you log in. Then you are given access to only certain database. Now here we're going to learn just a DDL. How do we use a DDL, or what is a DDL? So we said create database, right? So create database payroll and semicolon. Now this create database is creating a logical separation of all the data belonging to payroll in payroll database. So I can say use payroll and then create tables in this database. So if I enter the command show databases, it will show me the payroll database. You can see here the payroll database has been created. Underneath this database, we will create all the tables which are needed for our data analysis. Table contains related data. Tables will have columns and rows. Rows are also called records in a table. Each table will have one primary key. A primary key identifies a row uniquely within a table. A table can be related with other tables. When you have multiple tables, a table may be related with other tables. Fields or columns are similar to columns in Excel or a spreadsheet. They have same type of data type in every data item in that column. They are used in SQL statements. They have a limited number of fields that can be defined in a table on some RDBMSs. Hive can have around 20,000 columns or fields defined on a specific table. We have created payroll database. Let us create a table in payroll database. Use payroll. This statement use payroll puts me in that database. Now let us see the syntax to create a table. Create table, table name, columns and the field names. Let us copy this, paste it. You can see here create table video. VID is my column name. Then you have int as the integer, which is the data type. Then you have video name, VID author, city and state. Because they hold text type of data, we name them as varchar. Because VID and ID column has integer data type, which is a number, I call it int. what I am doing? Creating a table. That is my DDL statement. How do we look at this table? Describe video. Describe video will show you the definition of the table. You can see we have defined a table here with these 5 column names. That this is an example of a DDL statement. Now we can also do an alter table statement for another example. To do an alter table, we can rename any of these columns. We can add a new column to an existing table using alter statement. If you want to alter this table, again we have to go back and look at the syntax. So for every SQL, you have to make sure you understand the grammar, which is called the syntax. This is your alter table statement. So alter table video, add column. You see the syntax here, add column, column name and data type. Add columns. Okay, add columns. Let us add country, varchar 3, and then semicolon to end the SQL statement. Let us do describe video. Now you can see we added one more column, country, to this table, video. This is how we define a table or change the table definition using DDL SQL statements. Today we learned what is a database, what is a table, what are columns or fields, how to create a table, how do we change the table definition, which are together called DDL, data definition language in SQL. In our next session, we'll see what are the different types of data manipulation language statements that are available in SQL DML. In today's session, we will learn about SQL standards, SQL statements, and types of SQL. ANSI and ISO are two different standards. Basically, ANSI is a committee which forms guidelines or frameworks for setting the standards. Now ISO also has its own standards. So in 1986, both ANSI and ISO adopted the database language SQL definitions. Currently we have SQL 92 standards. As per the committee guidelines, every database management system will have SQL constructs available. To know more about standards, please go through the links provided in the description about ANSI or ISO standards for SQL. SQL statements. Now SQL statements, say for example, you have a database and there is information or data inside the database. You want to retrieve or fetch that data and look at it. That is an action. So the action that you want to perform is called a statement. Now that statement is written using keywords. Now these keywords, for example, select field name from table name. This is a simple select statement, also called SQL query, because we are asking the database to provide something. That's why it's called a query. Now some databases use semicolon at the end of each of these SQL statements. Remember, SQL is also called SQL in short. Types of SQL statements. Depending on the purpose, you have different types of SQL. DDL is also called data definition language, DML data manipulation language, DCL data control language. In DDL, you define a table or you create a table. Now in DDL, when you create a table, you are basically defining the format, name of the fields, data types, etc. That is called a metadata about the table. That is a DDL. DML is a data manipulation language. In a data manipulation language, what we have is, for example, when you create a table, initially it is empty. Now you have to have some type of data in it. That's called inserting the data. Once you inserted the data, you may want to change something. For example, somebody's birthday is misspelled, it's not correct. You want to correct it, then you go ahead and issue an update statement. That is a DML, inserting data, manipulation using update. Or you want to delete some of this data. For example, whoever is the person X who is inserted in the table, you want to get rid of that person from the table. It should not be there. Then you can issue a delete statement. That is your data manipulation language. In data control language, you control access to tables in a database. You control access to the database, tables, etc. One of them is a grant statement. A grant statement is a data control language statement. In today's session, we learned what is a SQL statement, how do we write them, what are the different types of SQL statements, what is the DDL, DML, and DCL in SQL. In the next session, we will learn about DDL, data definition language, from creating a table to a database. In today's session, we'll learn what is SQL and why and how we can use a spreadsheet. Before we know what is SQL, let us understand how we used to use spreadsheets. Spreadsheets, for example, Excel is a spreadsheet which has rows and columns. If you see here, you have rows and columns. This spreadsheet has a limitation. You can only have certain amount of rows. For example, maybe 65,000 to 1 million rows. And the table or the database or the data that is available in spreadsheet has a limited functionality. And it is a single user spreadsheet. Multiple users may not able to use the same spreadsheet at the same time. To reduce these limitations of a spreadsheet, a database management system came into being use. DBMS, database management system. A database management system needs SQL to access data, that is structured query language. So a structured query language lets you look at the information stored in a DBMS system, database management system. There are some famous database management systems like Oracle, Sybase, Microsoft SQL Server, DB2, Informix, DBase4. There are high-end databases like Teradata or Netezza, And Hive is also a database in big data or Hadoop environment. To fetch or look at the data or to summarize the data, we use what is called as SQL. Nowadays, we use what is called ANSI SQL, which is a standard in using SQL. So SQL is a language that lets one look at the data, update, insert, delete, or manage the data stored within a database management system. A database management system is also called RDBMS, or Relational Database Management System. Why? Because a database contains tables. When they have multiple tables, they are related via a relationship. That's why it is called Relational Database Management System. Just like an Excel has rows and columns, a table has rows and columns. Rows are called records or rows in general, and then columns are called fields in a table. That's why it's called Relational Database Management System. So SQL will work with a relational database management system or in general a database management system, as long as it accepts structured query language SQL. Question is, do we need to use different SQL for different databases like Oracle, Sybase, Microsoft SQL Server, Informix, or DB2? No. Most of the SQL constructs or statements remain the same for all the databases. Remember this line. SQL statements, generic SQL statements remains the same for all the databases, regardless of it is big data or just a relational database management system. In today's session, we learned what is SQL, structured query language, used to retrieve data from a DBMS or RDBMS system. There are different types of SQL depending on the purpose of what we are going to do with the data. In our next session, we'll see what are the different types of SQL.